Hi, Joel Rollins here for Rave Radio on day 2 of ISE 2016, and I have a chance to sit down, and I'm sitting down with Edwin Lustig of Robot Security Systems. For those of you who are my listeners in the United States, especially, and here in Europe, security is something I've written about a number of times as I do the rental portion of Rave. And security is something they have a new solution for here that I was just taken by, and I had to talk to you. Edwin, thanks for being with us.
No problem at all. I love to talk about robots, so if I can talk about robots, I'm your man.
Well, let's talk about robots, because what I'm understanding is that we have here a robot security guard.
That is exactly what it is. It is a robot that does security tasks, yes.
Okay. What's the advantage of using a robot for security?
Well, there are a few of them, but first I have to state that you cannot replace a human by a robot. You can only replace tasks. You can take out tasks and give them to the robot. But the advantages are actually quite simple. You cannot bribe it. It doesn't have a mother-in-law, so it doesn't wake up with a headache. It does its tasks very accurately, which is in security, of course, a very good thing. So it's very reliable. And we humans are, unfortunately, not.
Now, in the United States, we often refer to security guards as watchmen, right? And largely we know, for those of us in the rental industry, that that's pretty much what they do. They watch. I've actually had one watch while someone stripped a trade show exhibit because he thought they worked for us. As a matter of fact, he was very helpful. He helped them load the truck. Now, that can't happen with a robot, can it?
Well, service is, of course, one of the things that security guards should do, but actually they have a very difficult task. Because if you give them a set of strict rules, like you give to the robot, and they follow it strictly, you probably wouldn't like them, and you would sack them because they're not flexible. But it's the flexible part of the job that makes it interesting for the thieves, because they really are into that part of the job. So don't pick on my security guards, because they do a good job, but they have an impossible task. They have to be strict in an environment where they can't be. So ask these tasks from a robot, and you will get exactly what you want, because you do not have that expectation of a robot to be flexible.
I can also see where robots could supplement a security force.
That is actually more of a customers look into that part of the thing, because you have your guard. For example, we also have an outdoor version, and we did some first trials in a harbor facility. And here in the Netherlands, we have a big harbor, the harbor of Rotterdam, but there's a lot of drugs trafficking, because from South America, drugs get into the containers and they are shipped to Rotterdam. So there are guys who are climbing the fence, going for that container, open it, and get out the stuff. But these days, these guys don't just climb the fence, they climb the fence with a Kalashnikov. So the security guard said to me, the manager said, okay, give me that robot, I will send it to that fence, look if there's something wrong, they can shoot a hole in that. If it's broken down, I know I have to get in the real forces. I will not send the security guard, because there's a big risk. So the risk factor, there are places you cannot be because of toxic or that kind of violence, and you really can use a robot for that kind of purpose.
Now, tell us how and we have one moving around in the background here. Tell us how it's equipped and what it does.
Right. Actually, it does two things. We let it just make a surveillance round, just look at the facility inside, and it has its own map, a map he created. So it knows exactly where it is, and while it's driving around, because it drives, it can see all the things that have been changed. For example, is there a human? Then it will notice that human, because it has a thermal camera and some intelligence. It will go to that human and ask, can you identify yourself? And then you can present your pass or your biometrics or your facial recognition, and it will say to you, okay, thank you, you can move on, or hey, you're not allowed to be here. And then it will sound the alarm and trigger the alert for the security guards who are on site or off site. The other thing is, we can also look if there are things added to the property or taken out. For example, if you put something in front of an emergency exit, the robot will recognize that there's something there. It wouldn't know what it is, but it would know that there is something, and it will alert you, say, hey, there is something in front of the emergency exit, which is of course very dangerous. Or if you take something out. If there's a pallet with the iPhone 7, you have that in the States already, the iPhone 7?
No, not yet. 6 Plus.
Okay, 6 Plus. Well, we're in 7 now. And if you have a pallet of that, for example, that high value material, the robot will immediately tell you when it's gone. The other thing is we connect the robots to the alarm system. So it communicates with the alarm system. So if you're at a corner A and somebody pulls open a door at the other side of the building, which is maybe 20,000 square meters, it can be, of course the alarm will sound, but the robot will get the coordinates and will speed up there. And in miles it will go about 6 miles an hour to get to that point as fast as possible. So you don't only have a robot that is really looking in your facility for things that have to change, but it also can react on an alarm.
So in other words, if I had, say, an LCD on a stand here, digital signage, right, and that was missing, the robot would immediately notice that that had changed.
Yes, it wouldn't know that's an LCD stand, but it would know it was there, it isn't there anymore. That is strange because there's nobody here, sound the alarm.
That's phenomenal. And they don't fall asleep? They don't go outside for a cigarette?
No, they don't. No, actually they work 24 hours a day. And of course he has to charge. He is autonomous, so it will charge to get some new energy. But that's the only thing you can expect from him to do other than do his work.
How hard is it to get the robot acclimated or trained to a particular location?
That is crazy simple. Because the robot itself is quite a simple machine. It has a lot of intelligence, but the things it does is quite simple. He has what we call a LiDAR. It is a laser radar, which can see what is in the vicinity. So it will just drive around and create its own map. If you have this hole, which is, what would it be, 20, 30,000 square meters, something like that, it will probably take him a half an hour and he will know his way. And he will know his way better than you would, because you will probably, for the first time when you're here, probably...
I've been getting lost all day.
Right, he will scan the vicinity, within a half an hour he will have his map, and then he's set.
That's another thing about them. They don't forget.
They don't forget, no.
What would you consider? Okay, so the robot isn't going to make an autonomous decision. It's going to notice a change or a person who shouldn't be there. Now, it can ask for ID?
It can literally ask for ID. It will ask for an identification, yes.
Okay, so it handle biometrics, for instance. My wife is chief technical writer for the largest fingerprint identification system firm in the world, right, for MorphoTrack. So this could actually take a fingerprint?
Well, Joe, actually what we do is we provide you the robot, and we're going to ask you which kind of CCTV camera do you want, which kind of entrance technology do you have, what kind of intercom techniques you have. So we just interpret your techniques or your stuff which are in your vicinity onto the robot. As you can see, it has, for example, a camera, but just a camera. If you want a Mitsubishi camera, then we just put on your Mitsubishi camera. So if you have your fingerprint identification system, we just put it on. And of course we have to communicate with it, but nowadays in 2016, that's not the biggest issue. The big issue is let the robot be autonomous and move around, not getting stuck, telling you all the time what's going on. That's the real challenge.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking too. Some of my clients are pharma companies. Security for hazardous areas. There are, for instance, I work very near Pfizer. There are warehouses that are stored with chemicals that, if they escaped, could be very, very dangerous to a human.
So you can add all kind of sensors. So biohazard sensors, or a nuclear radiation sensor, or CO2, oxygen, mother-in-law. Whatever you want to measure, we can measure. It's not; these are not our sensors. These are the sensors of our customer. We just put on the robot and let it run around with it.
Okay, so tell me a little about your company.
Okay, we are what you should call a startup. We've been working for this robot now for about 3 years, but we are on the market for about 6-7 months. What we do, we start, of course, in our own facility. So we're selling the robot now in the Netherlands and in Belgium. But at the end of the year, we will travel the world and we will expand ourselves. We already have great contacts in, for example, Australia, South Africa, Japan. But of course, the States will be coming, yes.
Well, yeah, and I'm actually watching this and listening to it. I'm looking forward to the idea. I can think of what a there's lots of places you just don't want humans to be too. Some of my clients are hedge funds, right, who need extreme security for their buildings, but frankly, one of the vulnerabilities is that a security guard could also be a spy.
Right. Yes. Of course, but we don't have to. We don't need to make the robot bigger than it is, because there are some downsides also. So, for example, you now refer to an office, and an office most of the time has not that a lot of square footage to protect. So, if you want to get rid of your security guards, there are in this building a lot of techniques possible to do that. This robot is for more bigger buildings, like fairs, like data centers, like warehouses. And I have to state that although it runs around here, opening a normal door is impossible. We tried that, but it's not going to happen. It's possible, but it's not affordable. We can take the elevator, we can open electric doors, and we can take the stairs once down very fast.
Okay, and how easy is it to damage the robot? I mean, if something falls, for instance.
Right. Well, as you can see, it looks nice. It looks how do you call it?
Fairly robust.
Right. But it is actually made of steel, so it's quite heavy. If you open it, throw it over, bump it, it will sound the alarm.
What's its lifetime on a charge? I mean, how long will it run?
It will run without charging approximately about 5 hours. But it is, of course, a theoretical thing, because you have your cell phone. You never let your cell phone run out of power. So we have our docking station over there, and when it's below a certain percentage of power, depending on the facility, it will automatically recharge.
So you are renting these devices here in the Netherlands?
Yes, we're renting it out. Yes.
What's the rental cost?
It's only costs €7 an hour.
€7. Is there a setup cost in addition to that?
Yes, but that's less than €3,000. So that is real cheap to say, because we are a new company. We bring new technology, and we now are in a world with old technology, as in CCTV cameras, alarm systems, and security guards. And now we have to convince our old market to use this new technology. So what we do is we say, well, here you have your robot for a very low price per hour. So we have just a small threshold. If you get fed up with it, if you think it doesn't work, just give it back to us. And the other thing is, we are developing very rapidly. What you're looking now is in 3 year times is our 4th version, and our 5th version is on its way. And I don't want to annoy our first heroes, our first customers, with the old version. So if you are my customer, I will bring you the new version and will take out the old version, because you are, you are my hero, because you are one of the first in this world to use these robots.
Well, that's an excellent policy, and I mean, in a technology market, it's a very good one. Now, last question: how do people reach you?
Well, we have our website. It's called robotsecuritysystems.com. There's, of course, there are some buttons. You can, if you're in the neighborhood of Europe, in Europe at all, we have a demo room. From the United States, it's quite difficult, but just send us an email and we'll reach out to you, because we are actually looking for some partners in the States to resell our robot.
In which case, yes, another great manufacturer that we found here with a great service that's looking for U.S. partners. So, folks, that is robotsecuritysystems.com. And Edwin, thanks very much for being with us today.
Sure.